in some ways I feel it is more compassionate not to be too eccentric, Buddhist in family situation where they really care for your well-being and so on. But I think what I always think of is like Buddhist teaching, saying that to be a Buddhist there's no outer sign. To be a Buddhist there's no outer sign. Being Buddhist is all about internal, right? Inner revolution of mind. So being a real Buddhist means being really someone who's dedicated to work with their mind internally and manifest that outside in the world, right? That kind of the quality of being tamed or kind or calm and so on. As long as we can manifest that in the world, then we are bringing Buddhist culture to the world. This is Buddhist culture. Being calm, being genuinely compassionate, being caring, being a good citizen, a good person, a responsible one, not missing your vote. You have to go and elect your president or chancellor or whatever. Being responsible. It's really, I think, the Buddhist culture here, that we need to bring to the West. An outer form of culture, there's some outer form of cultures that are, I think, a little bit has to be on the table for discussion. What part of the Buddhist culture from the East is really necessary to keep, and what part of the Buddhist culture from the East is really not that important to keep. And so therefore my suggestion is not to throw everything away. Like you say in the West, don't throw the baby with the bathwater, Yet at the same time, we must make this transition. We must change, And so I'm not sure what to say. But for me, what really appeals to me from the Buddhist culture is the more of a secular Buddhist teachings, culture. Personally for me, I think the religious part of Buddhist culture from the East is not really that appealing and not really that adaptable with other cultures. The value system is really the key, and that's very difficult to change. Yeah. And that's going to take a while. Mm-hmm. I've been working on that for a long time, and it's not that easy to change the value system. And until we have the complete kind of some kind of transformation to the value system, there will not be a real Buddhist culture here, in the mainstream. It can of course exist like a small pocket, like Dharma centers here and there. And I think generally, I'm not sure if it's really any different from fundamentalist Christian culture. There's a fundamentalist Christian church and culture, and also fundamentalist like Hindu or Islam or whatever and then there's the other, what we call mainstream, and everyone goes there. We all take the subway and we all go to McDonald's. That's like that's a mainstream culture. But other than that, when you go to the realm of spirituality, it's not only the Buddhists in the West, but also Christians, also Islam and Hindu and so on. There's this kind of their own pockets of culture, like church culture, People go to church in their own community, in their own culture there, and then when they come to mainstream job or subway, then they act like Buddhist, or Buddhist acting like Christian, what have you. Does that make sense? So I think, but I think in general, I think I've been advocating for Western Buddhist culture. It's very important to develop 21st century Western Buddhist culture. Especially I live in America, so I've been advocating for American Buddhism. And that's been our kind of driving force in the US and Canada, trying to establish American Buddhism, Canadian Buddhism, and so on. So same thing here in Europe, Western Buddhism, I think. Very important to have some kind of, not really religious, Western Buddhist culture that will be more susceptible and more speaking to people's needs and their world that they have to relate to every day, I think materialism is something we cannot deny. It's not like it doesn't exist in the monasteries. So we can't really deny materialism, especially as a householder. Some materialistic things are necessary. And so at the same time, the key point here is not to get attached to it. And developing a Western culture of Buddhism more like mindfulness-based Buddhist culture, compassionate-based Buddhist culture, meditation-based Buddhist culture. So these things have no forms really, more internal. And then there's outer forms like being compassionate, being loving, and doing something for the world, like the 6 paramitas. They can be a very strong paramita culture, right? Being generous, being disciplined, being patient, being, joyful, diligent, and then working with mindfulness, awareness, and having some kind of prajna. So 6 paramita kind of culture, mindfulness culture, meditation culture. This is really, I think, very beneficial. It can benefit your parents who are not Buddhists, it can benefit your co-workers, it can benefit strangers on the subway you meet, it can benefit you, it can benefit everyone, Our religious culture, sometimes I don't know how much it benefits. Yeah.
So you don't think there would be a danger to kind of maybe miss out on aspects of Buddhist perception or Buddhist frameworks of reality, like devotion or dependent arising?
Mm-hmm.
Is that not a risk that these things will not be as emphasized?
Dependent arising will definitely not be lost in that. That's for sure. Because 6 paramitas is so dependent, dependent practice and compassion and loving kindness. Devotion thing. No, in my view, it will actually strengthen devotion. Because devotion we have right now is so fake, so foreign. Everybody try to master this devotion, but okay, within that culture we do this and do that and so forth. Then at the end, it is so really not sticking to your heart. It is still outside, So it's still not like blended into the fabric of your very being, So in this way, if we can develop a trust, right? A trust in this path, trust in this practice, trust in these teachings, then genuinely we will have a trust in the teacher who's teaching these path and practices. And that trust will come more genuinely, become part of your fabric of being, instead of imported, So it will not be like imported goods from China. It will be European made. Why not? I think definitely it's possible. And especially as a Buddhist, we should have more fun, since the world is not really true as we always think they are. And I think really this is a really important question. That's an important question, and it's something we need to contemplate how to do it. But in my opinion, it's not impossible. In my opinion, they don't contradict with each other. Practicing Dharma and having this kind of opinion or view about life and the world, and I think we can combine them together, definitely. But I don't know how. I have to think more. And I think it's really important because even culturally Buddhist, very strong Buddhists, like Tibetan, younger generation Tibetan, not interested in really Dharma practice, more interested in materialism, right? Like you say, this driving force, fun, family, legacy, and so on. And so they need to really reconnect. I mean, they are Buddhist. They are not like abandoning Dharma or something like that, but the practice is not there. So they need to come back to the practice to find a way, while not having to give up their pursuit of life, And I think we have very good examples, like in the Kagyu lineage, Marpa. He had lots of fun, right? He was a great family man. He's a farmer, he had many kids, his wife, he's married, he's loyal to his wife, and he's married, and his family, and his farm is ever extending because he keeps moving his fence towards his neighbors, and he never lacked fun from his neighbors' aggression and so on, and his aggression. And so there was a lot of fun there. Living life doesn't actually contradict with the Dharma practice. Like, who can be like better Dharma practitioner than Marpa? No monk can compete with him right now. Or no one can compete with him. He's a great practitioner. Yet he was a fully family man. With all these things. He wanted his son to succeed him, and he tried so hard. Remember the stories? And his son died from horse accident. Full of life, life stories. And still great practitioner. He became so important, right? In our lineage master, lineage holder. Like that, So there's so many examples. In Indian Buddhism, many of the Kagyu, Mahamudra, or Tantric masters in India, many of them have been like living lives of like carpenter and bartender and things like that. I was reading in this Gunjan Pema Karpa's texts, Tantric stories. It was really beautiful. So, yeah, you can be a bartender and still practice and still achieve some realization, and there's no contradiction there, from Vajrayana point of view. From the other yanas point of view, I have no clue. It may not work. Thank you.